My name's Simon Honywill, and I am a freelance sound system designer, front of house engineer. And one of the things that I'm involved in, and have been for some time, is Glastonbury Festival, which some of you may have heard of. And I'm going to tell you about how we deploy Martin Audio systems across several stages at this iconic event. There is a field in Somerset that will forever be muddy. Glastonbury is the biggest greenfield festival site, certainly in Europe, if not the world. It is the size of a city. It's the size of Newcastle. It's the size of most major cities, with a temporary population of about 250,000 people, of which best part of 100,000 are actually, some of them are pretending to work. And Martin Audio is by far and away the most common system across the major stages. We have the pyramid stage, Westholtz, which is like the third stage. We'll look at these in more detail shortly. Woodsies, which was called John Peel, more about that later. The park up on the hill near the stone circle, where you go to commune with the ley lines. We have two stages down in the southeast corner, which is where all the naughty stuff happens throughout the night. Big dance systems, and also some smaller tented stages like Williams Green and Billy Bragg's Left Field. Let's talk about the pyramid stage, which is the focus of the festival, really. It's the focal point of the festival. It's a huge field with a capacity of about 110,000, 120,000 people. The stage itself, it's a permanent structure that's licensed as a cattle shed, because this is a working dairy farm. This tree you see on the left, and the stage, and what you can't quite see behind the delay tower there, is Glastonbury Tor, which is a kind of a sacred site, and they all line up on this ley line. And in the 70s, the hippies used to go there to get ley lined up. This stage is unique, it's iconic. Everybody, certainly in the UK, if they're having their own little festival, they'll try and find a way of working Glastonbury into the name of it. Like there's one in South Devon called Glastonbury, and Glastoncherry is another one that I've seen. But it is iconic. It's one of the most iconic performance stages anywhere, really. And I think as a band, if you manage to get onto the pyramid stage, no matter who you are or where you've come from, then you've achieved something. The original stage was first built in 1970. It was a free festival. Everybody got free milk. And I think that's a big bunch of Wem columns piled up there. However, R.G. Jones Sound Engineering, with whom I have a very long-standing relationship, have been supplying Martin Audio there since 2008. And it is by far and away the longest tenure of any single manufacturer on the pyramid stage. We went in with W8 Longbow in 2008, and the rest is hysteria. And we have been able to raise the on-site levels to in excess of 100 dB pretty much everywhere, and maintain the off-site levels underneath the desired levels that the neighbours want. And the festival are very happy with it and have continued to be so. The 2008 system, I'll just take you through the history and the development of how we've ended up where we are, was designed by myself and Jim Cousins, and we were using Longbow with some downfills on the bottom, 4 hangs, and the design was achieved using lovely old Display 1.7. None of your optimization or any of that stuff here. This was, yeah, that'll do, hang it up, point it in the right direction. But we worked on the philosophy of long lines, flown at the right height to point them down so they dug into the field. The delays were out at around 100, 120 meters or so, and we didn't try to get right to the very back of the field. Expectations were kind of different then. Here's a few shots of the system at the time. You can see the subarray comprised of the subs, the WS218X. Hooray, I got it. We had loads of them. It was about a 36-meter array in cardioid cells, 2 forward, 1 back. You can see the hangs there. It was the first time we had a digital front of house as well, fully digital front of house using the Avid stuff. The Axe Jay-Z there admiring the PA. Amy Winehouse, bless her, Shaking Stevens, and this is my favourite of all of the things. Flags are a big thing, right, at Glastonbury. You've probably seen it on the TV. They're in the way of the cameras all the time and everything. And there's a big debate online about whether or not they should ban flags. But these guys, instead of a flag, they showed up with a whole door with this painted on, which I just thought was marvellous. So moving forward to 2014 and when we introduced MLA, where do we start with this? Well, it's all about noise levels on and off site. And as the Dalai Lama, who's a mate of Robin's, says that some silence is sometimes the best answer. And in these big fields, surrounded by people trying to get on with their lives, while this thing's going on 24 hours a day next to them, silence is the best answer, but it's not actually possible. What we can do is mitigate it pretty effectively. And more of that later. The system we deployed is basically the same topographical design, I guess. Hangs of 17, MLA and an MLD, which Jason Baird and myself developed, working on the optimizations. Again, the delays were pushed out quite a long way, but Guy Garvey obviously thought it was pretty good. That was a kind of a career-defining set from Elbow. They actually totally nailed it. And I like to believe that the PA was so good that that had a lot to do with it. There we go. The infills are an exciting place to be. Two by hangs of 6 MLAC off the frame of the pyramid. And there's myself and my missus checking out the infills with Lionel Richie. And then a single ring of delays, 4 positions of 16 MLAC out at about 120 meters. And looking back at that now, I kind of think, what were we thinking? It worked. It worked really well. And, you know, these things are iterative, and expectations also change, and relationships with clients develop. And you say, eventually you get to a point where you can say things like, we think we should have another row of delays. And they go, oh yeah, okay, then how much? Jing, done. With the MLX subarray, this won't look familiar to you, Martin, because this is how it's supposed to be, not the way we ended up doing it. 32 MLX in a broadside cardioid array, arced to deliver a solid 100 degrees of coverage. And it's a quite exciting thing to stand in front of. And in fact, it's still quite an exciting thing to stand 170 meters away from, which I was during Kanye West's headline set. And I think here we have a display 3 plot of how it performs. And you can see it's a really coherent wavefront scooting up the field there. Delay ring 1, we're looking at 4 positions here. The outers, delays 1 and 4 are 16 MLAC, which kind of works with a little bit of extra width on the outer edges of the arena, and then 2 hangs of 14 MLA in the middle on those big towers with the spotlight cradles, just behind the front of house positions, out at about 78, 80 meters. I think it might be slightly more, but you can see them sat there under a very Glastonbury-themed rain cloud. We managed to persuade them in 2016 to give us some extra ring of delays, because following, actually it was the Dolly Parton show in about 2015, I think. She was the, what they call a legend slot on the Sunday afternoon, and the field was so busy, like they'd never seen before. And so, yeah, we ended up getting in another 4 positions, which historically were MLAC and MLA. However, the last 2 festivals we've had WPL, one box res, on the last set of delays. And you can see in the bottom left-hand corner, there's the ViewNet system monitoring screen with the main system and infills, top left, first row of delays, top right subs, and then all of the icons driving the delays in one box res down in the bottom right. I just like that picture. It's kind of shows you that we weren't messing about. This is kind of it's an overview of the actual way the system's laid out. And you can see how the delays are positioned to fit the shape of the field. It is about, on that center line, is about 350 meters to the back of where we thought we would stop the coverage, which essentially is that road that you can see coming down from the top center on the right-hand side there. The festival have basically proved their faith in the design by actually finally giving us some proper cable ducts, because we were getting into situations like this where the farm crew had dug all of these traps in, these plastic like gas tubes and stuff for us to run the cables through, but they all collapsed. And so we were in a situation a day or so before they opened the doors where they had to dig all of them out and replace them, redo them, which was quite exciting because, of course, it always impacts on how much time you have to set the system up. But they have now given us permanent cable ducts, which I think is a bit of a result. And yeah, it's a demonstration of their faith in us, I think, as in delivering a successful festival sound system. This drawing, courtesy of my friend Martin Dineley, who sat here, who was the system tech this year at the festival, and I'm sure he'd be happy to talk to any of you about it. I think it's really interesting because it shows you how the system is designed to overlap with each other, and also how the coverage start and stop works. You can see the main left and right hangs in blue, first row of delays in green, and then the last row of delays in red. And I just think that, that is a really good way of kind of visualizing how the system all fits together. Some of you might think that it looks a bit thin over on the right. I can tell you that is a massive pile of toilets, so we try not to cover that. Here is a D3, Display 3 overview to give you an idea of the elevation of the site front to back as well. It's about 13 meters of rise in height as to get up to the back there. I think it's just interesting. You can see the actual, this was using geolocation in SketchUp, where we actually dump the field itself, draw in the stage and place it all, and we can actually optimize to the actual terrain as it actually is, which made a huge difference. More difference than we ever thought it would, actually, because previously we tried so many different ways of getting accurate slices to optimize to of the elevation of the land. And we didn't really know if they were right or wrong, but we now know that they are right. And we can actually optimize really accurately to those terrain changes, and it makes a massive difference to the way the system performs. And here is a D3 of the system without the infills. And it's pretty solid, that. I'll take that. It is amazing. You can walk from just in front of the PA down by the Mojo barrier right the way up the centre of the field, and really it doesn't change very much at all. It is, compared to other systems that I've heard on festivals, it still makes me smile after however many years it is. So that's the pyramid. Let's take a look at Westholtz. Westholtz is, it's like the third stage. It used to be called the Jazz World stage, which it kind of sums up the kind of acts you get on there. You get everything. I mean, you get pretty much anything. We've had Billie Eilish before she was massive. We've had Jacob Collier was on this year. He was amazing. Dizzy Rascal, all kinds of people on here. A lot of acts that are on their way up, and a lot of acts, international acts. We've had a naked Japanese punk band, which was amusing. RGs were asked to provide the PA back in 2016, which we did with 20 deep hangs of MLAC at the time, which was that was pretty good. The reason why, I think this next slide shows us, this is West Holt's from the air, that grey stage in the middle there. The audience area here, previous incumbents of the audio system were covering this area, but they were also covering everywhere else. So to the left are central markets, and we have Greenpeace, and below them the healing fields and theatre and circus at the top. And they were all getting completely washed out by a system that was provided. Basically, Greenpeace, they want to get on with being Greenpeace. The markets want to get on with selling people stuff. Theatre and circus want to get on with clowning and hanging out of the roof of the tent. And the healing fields is what, to a lot of people, Glastonbury is all about. The healing fields down the bottom where you can see that pink flower-shaped structure is where you go to reconnect with your karma. And they were just getting completely blown away by this PA that was just spewing everywhere. We managed to contain it. We put in a harder void at the back of the field. And as you walk out of West Holt's into the markets, it drops away very quickly indeed. And by the time you're into the first few stalls there, it's just background noise. We work with production to move the stage. You can see it's actually been twisted through there to point it away from theatre and circus, who are right next door. And using the optimization, we can dig the coverage in so much so that it wouldn't spill over into Greenpeace. Actually, Greenpeace got their own back this year with some system on there that was so loud you wouldn't have believed it. 2023 was very much a family affair at Glastonbury, with 22 Live providing, I'll be completely honest here, in the past, it's been a real struggle to bring all these things together. The solution has been to get the family involved. And so 22 Live, we subcontracted out the PA and the stage packaged to them, and they delivered a fabulous system. So, yeah, a really great package, sounded amazing. The West Holt's production team were absolutely overjoyed with it. Moving on from West Holt's, this is Icon, which is a late night, an all-night dance stage down in the naughty corner of the festival, the southeast corner. Icon is a 20-metre high, three-dimensional projection map sculpture designed and built by the team at Block 9, who are an incredibly creative organisation. We now just have a left and right. The arena is much smaller than it used to be, which is WPC and some TORUS effects surrounds. And again, keeping it in the family, DB Solutions came along and did a terrific job. Thoroughly enjoyed themselves at the same time. Here they are, putting the system up. Really cracking team, great sounding rig, big smiles all around. One of the great things about working with them, and I love this when this happens, is when you work with a company that you haven't really worked with before, they come up with some really surprising things. And this is so simple, it's so brilliant. The tape measure that you use to set the height of the array, normally you have to tape it on with a bit of whatever, PVC, and either it sticks or the end of the tape snaps off when you pull it. What they've done is they've got a little clip there, clip it on the fly pin on the bottom box, and there's a little soldier with a parachute to help it come down nice and slowly so it doesn't damage your tape. I love that. And on the right, the guy in blue, what a hero. He took it upon himself to walk around the whole of the southeast corner during the build with a toolbox and an urn of hot water and distribute free tea. It was a bit like being in the war or something. It was brilliant. Next door to Icon is Genesis, which again is another Block 9 creation. It doesn't look like this anymore, sadly. But again, an all-night dance stage. They had huge problems with off-site noise. They came to production, the festival production, said, look, we need help. They suggested they talk to us. We did. We went in, we put in some compact. We put an array of DSX subs and consulted with them on some acoustic treatment and things as well. And they're running at over 100 dB all night, and they're absolutely over the moon with it. This year, we got Nub Sound from my hometown of Plymouth to come in and look after this. And they came in with some WPC and SHX 218s and did a great job. You can see that the scale of the stage itself is somewhat smaller. That's now a bus, where it was a 3-story building previously. But again, great collaboration across the network, and it's to be encouraged at all times. Elsewhere, outside of the R.G. Jones remit, Southwest Group, they look after what was the John Peel stage. And again, it's another story of how optimized systems can make such a difference. This was previously VDOSC, I think, and it's in a massive circus tent structure. It's huge. And it's highly reflective, and reflections as the tent slopes down towards the back, all sorts of horrible reflections going on. We managed to get M&A in there and optimize it to keep all the reflections off the roof. Everybody went, "Wow, that's amazing," and it's been that until this year, where Southwest Group put in their new WPL system, and Southwest Group also look after the park up at the top of the festival. And the park is kind of, it's pretty eclectic stuff. They had everybody from Max Richter, as you can see there, with Tilda Swinton narrating the Blue Notebooks, which was a thing of great beauty, and to the Pretenders and Sparks and all kinds of people like that on the park this time round. And it's a W8LC system. There's life in the old dog yet. So if you've still got your W8LCs, hang on to them, because they're great. This whole thing is all about the people, really. I mean, these things would not be possible without the best of the best people, including my son there on the left. And when you've got a bunch of great people who all have a common sense of purpose, then you get great results, because everybody knows each other. We've all worked together on and off various things. We've all been in ridiculous situations together. We get to work with some amazing artists in a really iconic event. And I think that we have, over the years, established a workflow and a sense of reliability and an attitude, really, that the festival really likes, and that they trust us implicitly. And I think that this shot kind of sums it up. This was the pyramid crowd for Elton John, and one of the reasons why it's actually, for me, I believe so much in using these systems, is that if you were to draw a line between that tree in the middle and what that kind of white splodgy thing, you can vaguely see there's a kind of a road there, which traditionally has always been the back of the arena. We had never been asked to cover that, and we hadn't planned to cover it. However, and we were able to re-optimize the last row of delays, the WPLs on the back road, to actually give most of those people a reasonably meaningful experience, which pretty much at the, within a very short space of time. And I'd really like to say thanks to Martin here, who, if you are interested, talk to him about his experience, because it was his first time with Martin Audio on a large scale like this. And it's really interesting to have somebody of his experience, especially with other loudspeaker systems as well, to actually come along and get involved in this and ask really difficult questions, and hopefully with some answers that we were able to provide. But we were able to give those people at the back a meaningful experience, which I think with pretty much any other PA would have been virtually impossible. And that's Martin Audio at Glastonbury Festival. Thank you.